come to your house with
Would
guns.
you let it go?
Welcome back to the Project Gen X podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with
I'm the other guy, Big Dave.
And I'm Barry.
And we just wrapped up this last week our retro summer 2022 with Labyrinth, a
We survived.
beautiful movie that we just gushed over, and
dropped every possible David Bowie.
not
Yes.
everyone,
Oh,
but
I'm
it's
sure we
we
could've
dropped a
kept going.
lot. But
Man, we covered a lot this summer.
we really did, going all the way back to May. We started in May, and except for 2 weeks, everything was formatted to this. Now, one of those should have been, but there was some user error that
Yeah, way to go, Alan.
that accidentally
Deleted like 14 episodes.
deleted an episode, as well as some other stuff that was not meant for this that I accidentally deleted that I'm not getting back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And but it's
But I'll say this: the episode that we used to sub in with it,
the SFW. Yeah,
I've had nothing but positive reviews back on it. People love it. They say it's our best episode.
It was. We had been sitting on that one for a while.
We've been doing this for 3 years. That's our best episode.
Well, it's really good. I mean,
and we had been sitting on that episode for a little while because we had recorded it back in April when we were doing the
tournament,
the greatest movie about Gen X tournament. Yes. And because we loved the movie so much, like, hey, let's just do an episode about it. You know?
Right.
And so it was good that we had that one banked that we could just plop right in and very Gen X. But yeah, and of course the other episode that we did was Batman Returns, because it was the 30th anniversary.
It was an anniversary,
and it was like, no, we really need to talk about this. You know,
and how bad it was.
we can't let that pass.
But
it's,
Bruce, why you dressed like Batman?
Because he is the Batman.
You idiot. It's still one of my favorite lines.
It'll never go old. It'll never go old. Although
it's Christopher Walken deliver. If you can't tell, we don't have a format on this episode. We're this is one of our rambling episodes.
This is just kind of our way to say thank you for sticking with us through the entire
It's also
summer.
a palate cleanser for us, because we really did put in a lot of work, a lot of time and work on this, and even with it being as the intro all summer long showed me literally saying, I'm making an executive decision, we're doing this thing, and then putting it all together on the fly.
So what you're saying is this was your fault.
It was my fault.
Okay.
I am very
It generally is his fault.
It was the same thing that happened with the tournament.
Yeah.
Of me saying, "Hey, I got this idea," and then sitting on it, us sitting on it for a couple.
You sitting
All right,
on
me
it because
sitting
it
on
was your idea, and we said, "Okay, put it together."
All right, we'll do this, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're doing this. Let me get in touch with the other people involved," and.
Again, big thank you to the other 3 podcasts involved on that,
and really, and we ran into the guy, more specifically George. We ran into all the guys from GXG. This past summer,
you guys went to the Southern Pride Gaming Convention.
Gaming Expo.
Gaming Expo. I wasn't able to go this year.
It's because you have a wife.
And hey, and by the way,
Barry
guys,
didn't have one at the time.
At the time, I didn't.
Hey, by the way, guys,
and I got COVID.
Yeah.
So
I got.
So it's all the same. You guys have wives. I got COVID. So it's like,
wow. I know 2 women that are going to kick the ever-living crap out of
my
him for that.
ex-wives.
At this point, Amy's going to have to wait for the redhead to get a hold of him.
I can see Renee rolling up her sleeves right now saying, let me at him.
Again, are we talking?
So, speaking of grown-up
you
Gen
talk
X,
about women wanting to kick the crap out of me. You talking about my ex-wives or
well,
what?
that's true.
speaking of Gen X grown up, I want to thank the guys for sending me a pin back with these 2.
Yeah, I finally got it
Yes.
to you. So
Yep.
it's,
So I'm going to add that to my
yes, and
collection.
And we warned George all about you, so it was.
Well, and,
George,
and I,
warning, whatever they told you is absolutely a lie.
oh no, it's not.
and I had to give them
absolutely a lie.
I had to give the guys a little grief because they treaded on some very, very thin territory with me when they decided to do an episode on ECW, which is one of my all-time favorite things in the world.
Well, okay, I'm gonna go get lunch. I'll see you when when I get back.
This is not going to be one of our wrestling
It was actually very
episodes.
good. They did a great job on it. There was
Mainly the reason why this isn't going to be one of our wrestling episodes is because we're recording this weeks in advance, and anything we talk about wrestling will be completely outdated by the time we get there.
That has never stopped you jokers in the past.
True.
I just kind of sit here and go, okay.
But just take a minute here, boys, and reflect over some of the movies that we covered this week.
Some of them were good. Some of them weren't.
Some of them were amazing. Tron was amazing. You're right. Tron was absolutely amazing.
I'm going to lunch. He's going to be like this the entire episode.
See,
I'm leaving.
No, because for every one of those, we also had some that we agreed on, which was kind of strange. You know, it's very rare that we find things that are common ground that we all look at it through the same eyes and say, yes. Goonies was one of them. Labyrinth was one of them. Space Camp was one that we really had a lot of fun with.
That was I
was not here for that one.
You weren't here for that one, but you know, that was a we found the faults in it.
True.
But it was still one of those like, all right, you know, it's still not egregious enough to really dunk on.
I think I got the better half of that because you guys talked about Space Camp, and I actually got to go and look at the outside of the buildings and all that with Barry when we went to that con in Huntsville.
Yeah, no, you guys went to Huntsville Con, and Barry and I went to SFG.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, so eventually I guess me and you have to go to one.
Well, you guys went to SFG without me the year before.
Well, but you weren't on the show yet.
Well, that doesn't matter.
That's
all right. Barry gets left home on the next one.
That's right. Exactly. Next time we go to one, Barry, you're not allowed to go with us.
Fine. I'll find something else to do.
You know, and even going back into, I think it was into April, you know, Ariel came on here again, and we talked about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Then Amy came on.
The infamous Amy came on.
For 2 episodes. And then we had Diana Goodman.
Yes.
You know,
that was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I've started following their podcast.
I'm telling you.
I'm liking
because we shamed you live on air.
Yes, I got shamed.
And once again, a huge thank you to Diana for joining us on here and helping us rip to pieces the movie Risky Business.
Right. And we enjoyed it, though. I think that the thing that came out of it, and what I was not expecting, was the realization that it was a prequel to American Psycho. Well, you know, I mean, that was, you know, and
honestly, you know, another thing that actually, to Diana's point on this, that I didn't even really think about is this was probably the first movie that I can think of that was not only kind but fair to not only trans people but also sex workers.
Yeah,
you don't see that in movies
in a very
respectful way
and capitalistic type way.
Well, true.
That's definitely in there, and again, it's that movie in particular, I was not the movie I remembered seeing.
No,
you know,
no.
There were a few movies this summer that we went over that was like, oh yeah, I don't remember this. Never-ending Story. Was one. Is like, this was not the movie I remember from my childhood.
I wish I had never watched the movie again because watching it again basically ruined it for me.
Yeah. It really did. You know, it was.
You're right.
I fully went into that movie expecting it to be on like what we said about Labyrinth last week, and came away from it going, I was lied to as a child.
Yeah,
it was one of those things where you walked away from it going, this could have been such a good movie.
Yeah, very much could have been.
I think we all kind of looked at each other and went, what happened?
Right.
You know, when did it change from then to now?
That one, more than anything else that we covered over the last 3 or 4 months,
that one on Risky Business.
Was literally what it was, a product of member berries.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, no, that's not what really happened. That was we're remembering it far differently than the way that it actually occurred.
But and you know, in the same token, we had some that were still gems that don't get enough credit, that don't really get the recognition. And
Cloak and Dagger. You know,
Explorers,
both of those.
Flight of the Navigator. I mean, you hated it. I
didn't hate Flight of the Navigator. Again, it was, this is not the movie I remember.
True,
you know, and
but it was exactly the movie I remember.
And
I loved it.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of it, and I know you still shit on Tron, and Dave and I will still defend it to our dying day. But
it just.
You gotta love a movie about a spaceship that is actually Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah,
well, yeah, I get uncredited Pee Wee Herman.
Yep. Uncredited
Paul Mall.
Yeah, but it with Tron, I didn't hate the movie.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
you did. Don't lie.
It's just boring.
And he says he doesn't hate him. He doesn't hate Tron the same way he doesn't hate The Godfather.
Yeah, I don't hate The Godfather. I just find it not as good as everybody says it is. So it's.
But I will say that
coming from the guy who watches the OC regularly.
I love the OC, bitch.
I was about to say, and has referenced it many, many times.
I know.
This summer.
Again, Diana was really kind of surprised with that OC reference in there.
Awesome.
It's like, wow.
Awesome.
Okay.
We're talking about the king of trash TV bad mouthing a couple of really great movies.
It's true, absolutely. But and like I said, I learned a lot just going through the research on a lot of these movies that I never would have found out beforehand. Like the fact that Megan Mullally got her start in risky business.
Well, honestly, looking back on the entire summer, I do believe that the true takeaway that we got from this is that Expose was the air supply of 1987. I mean, that is...
You're not wrong.
Wow.
You're not wrong.
Alan's still lost in love. Anyway.
I'm so lost without you.
Wow. Yeah, but...
Which was really funny. We did that episode.
Yep.
And the very next week... Hit Parade from Slate did an episode about 1987. Yeah. They didn't do it quite as comprehensive, but they talked about all the same people that we talked about.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, there was definitely something in the air on that one. I mean, that was just
what magazine was it?
It's Slate or Slate, but it was it was their podcast Hit Parade where they talk about.
So whoever's over there listening to our podcast,
exactly,
we want credit
and stealing our episodes.
We're executive producer credit.
You need to start linking to ours and
I'll take
advertising
credit.
for us.
I don't mind.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it just again, it's one of those things. Sometimes something's in the air and it just kind of hits, and it's
so you're saying it was in the air tonight? Still kills me. He didn't play drums on that. That was somebody else playing. That was not Phil Collins playing drums on that song.
But he takes credit for it every chance he gets.
That's rightfully so.
Phil Collins doesn't play drums now anyway,
well,
so
he
can't.
Sing,
I know.
I still remember watching him on, what's the Graham Norton, where they had him sitting there and they were some guy came out with drums and he was playing different drum beats and trying to let him guess what the song was.
No, it was an actor.
Yeah.
It was an actor. And they were like, oh, we just happen to know that you play drums, so we want you to put on these headphones and play along. And then Phil's going to guess whether it's Phil or not Phil.
Yes. And he didn't get a single one of his own songs right. He could get the other ones, but he couldn't get his own songs right.
Well, Phil Collins, but that's a whole other episode that we could do. We could talk about my love-hate relationship with Phil Collins.
Peter Gabriel or Phil Collins. Oh, that's the debate.
I'll be honest.
Mike Rutherford. I'll go Mike Rutherford.
Mike and the Mechanics.
Yeah, I'll go Mike Rutherford on that one just because it's split.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, though, is that they didn't have one lead singer. Now they did have. What's the guy's name? He came from another band.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Who became kind of their de facto lead singer.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't have a device.
I know, but
all the knowledge of the world.
But the thing is that like, and he sang on All I Need Is a Miracle.
Yeah, in Living Years.
But no, that was
that
other
Rutherford?
guy.
Oh, okay.
That was he sang on that one, and he sang on.
At this point, it's kind of like Kiss. They have the main players, and then they have the
and then
ultimate rotating cat. Or wait, Megadeth.
Oh,
I mean Megadeth has. I love Megadeth, but Dave Mustaine has gotten to where they should call it the Dave Mustaine band because it's a constantly rotating cast
the name of that song?
Musicians.
Which one?
All
I Need Is a Miracle. Oh, Silent Running.
Silent Running. That's what I knew. It was the name of a movie. I was like, but that's a different singer than All I Want Is a Miracle. Or All I Need Is a Miracle, But yeah, and which he passed several years back. The guy that sang the other, but had a very distinct voice, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's
absolutely. It's
again,
good stuff.
the Living Years. Can we talk about a piece of boomer nostalgia? That song, it was made for every man over the age of 40. I will
tell you
80s,
exactly what that song is. That song is nothing more than the 80s version of Cats in the Cradle.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah.
That is all it is.
Exactly. Again, made for boomers.
The disdain that I have for that song is palatable.
You hate that song?
The hatred of that song.
Which one?
The Living Years.
Oh, okay.
That song was run to
death.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it was part of every commercial that was being marketed that generation.
Again, it was the boomers coming to terms with their fathers, male boomers
children,
coming. Yeah, but it was one of those things where it was like, because that, especially that last verse, talking about like his father passing and having a kid now and that kind of stuff. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is that middle age. I'm caught between being a son and being a father. Yeah, type stuff.
And I think it was just the fact that song was played to death.
And it was played to
everywhere.
Death.
There's only been a handful of songs that I have, and one of which I've actually regained my love for.
Black Hole Sun.
Black Hole Sun.
They did
run that one in the ground, but I was more creeped out by the.
Oh my god!
I was more creeped out by the video in Black Hole Sun than anything else, because that's a weird ass video. I don't care what anybody says.
It's a great video.
It's weird as hell. Yeah. No, the one that I'm talking about there was a song. It's the only major hit that this particular artist has had. And unfortunately, when it came out, it just so happens that I was right around or just beginning into college about the time that this happened to start being played.
Early 90s somewhere.
Yes. And it was played on pop stations, rock stations, country stations, soul stations, everywhere. For those of you who don't know where I went to school, I went to school in Memphis. Do I need to tell you what the name of the song is?
Walking in Memphis?
Bingo.
Yeah. Mark Cohn.
You could not get away from that song. I could not stand
When you said it was played on every radio station, I figured it was I Swear.
No.
No, that's because there were different versions.
Yes,
of
you had
song.
John Michael
Montgomery, and then there was the All for One version, which they did it again with I Can Love You Like That, which is like, oh my God.
It's like, would you shut up?
I know. Would you guys stop copying each other, you know?
Let's say neither one of you are doing a good version of the song.
It's kind of like I say now where I go, Hollywood, get a new idea. It was like music industry, get a new idea.
Yeah. See, and it was something about that song, there's the nostalgia, the air of it is great the first time you hear it. You can after a while, you're done.
A few years beyond that, and you get Aerosmith doing I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, and Mark Chestnut doing I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
I think the reason that song got wore out a little bit for me was because I worked with some guys that the audio engineer used Walking in Memphis as part of his set up the PA songs.
Oh, it just
I will say this much: it got to the point where
it's a good song, but it's not a set up PA song.
Yeah,
by any stretch. I mean,
it is with the piano and the high end, and then when the bass kicks in, the kick drum. You're testing two different parts of the PA.
Actually, it's funny you say that. So years and years ago, I used to work for an organization that unfortunately does not have a presence in Nashville anymore. It was an electronics store, and we sold car stereos and stuff. And one of the songs that I used to use to
it's out of the back of a van, wasn't it?
Oh, well, down by the river. But one of the songs that I used to use.
We've all been approached by those people, and
I bought equipment from them. Unfortunately,
we got some extra stuff. Are you interested in buying it? No, go away.
Unfortunately, they don't know what
I am not going to get into your windowless panel van. Okay, it's like
unfortunately they don't know. They don't know what I do for a living, and I may, I'll be like, yeah, let me come look at it, and I pull out the screwdriver and take a speaker out and start looking at the component. They're like, what are you doing? I go, oh, I do this for a living.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, just put it back.
Yeah.
Oops.
Exactly.
We're sorry to have bothered you, sir.
Right.
But no, one of the songs that I used to use to test the car stereo setup so people could hear it is the song Piano in the Dark by Brenda K. Starr.
Yeah.
Just so you hear that piano part coming in and then the vocals and then when it drops. So, yeah, that I can understand.
You know what I would use for that? Metallica's Battery.
Ooh.
Get that acoustic on the first of it, and then
actually, you know what a good one is to test the tightness of a system? IGY from Donald Fagen.
Good choice. Just for the horns?
No, I mean the whole thing. That whole thing is so tight, crisp.
Yeah.
You can hear every little issue.
Nice. I have to go back and listen to that one on the way home. But yeah, I took many years to get past my hatred of Walking in Memphis. I just could not stand that song.
I have a whole list of songs I never want to hear again that I don't want to go into because every time I mention them, they start popping up around me.
It's the Beetlejuice theory. You say it 3 times, they show up.
The devil, speak of the devil, and the devil appears. You know,
exactly. Rooster.
Damn you!
I just did it to Alan. And
you know what's so great? I love Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll do you a favor and return the favor to Dave. Redneck woman. So,
Confederate Railroad.
No.
No, Redneck Woman.
Redneck Woman, as in what's her name? Gretchen Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't listen to country, so that'll never happen to me.
Yeah, you do. Don't even give me that crap.
I listen to old country, and it's all on Spotify where I control what happens.
And the Confederate Railroad song was Trashy Women.
That's it.
Trashy. Like my women just a little on the trashy side.
Yes, sir.
So, which
you're not wrong.
Not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Just a little.
What's funny is a guy I went to high school with for a while dated the brunette chick that was in that video.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
We used to give her so much crap.
I can't imagine why. But yes, I think, in retrospect in this summer, I think we hit on a lot of different topics. We hit on a lot of different stuff. If you haven't gone back and checked any of our previous episodes on some of these, just look at the list. There's so many different movies that we covered that I think all of us had some kind of a tie to, in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
There was only a handful of them that
Are you getting ready to list them all off?
I am. I'm pulling them all up because we started in May.
Yes.
Okay. We started with Explorers. Then went to
One of my favorites. As Alan
Excuse me. And then we went to Flight of the Navigator.
Another one of my favorites.
Then we went to Cloak and Dagger, War Games, Space Camp, Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, wait. I have to do it. We didn't do War Games. We did War Games!
God, I'm glad we never got to hear that again. And then we talked about theme parks, which was part of our retro summer.
Yeah.
We did One Crazy Summer, which great movie.
Still love that movie.
Tron. And then we talked about the Billboard Top 100 Singles of 1987. We did The Karate Kid, which was the debut of my special summaries of movies.
Yeah, this is where we pretty much. I'm pretty certain that put you on a list somewhere.
And then Back to the Future. And then we did Never Ending Story, Risky Business. Then we did The Goonies.
Forgot about Bam Bam Returns.
Well, that wasn't part of our retro
SFW.
summer. Yeah, those two weren't. They were their own episodes.
True, but
they were during the summer. Yeah, I get it. What did I say? Was after Risky Business was The Goonies, and then we did E.T. and Labyrinth to close out. And had we not run out of time, we probably would have done a lot more. But
there was a couple that we talked about, like Stand By Me was one we talked about.
I was gonna bring that up because when I put the intro together, I put clips from different movies, and Stand By Me, there's a clip on the intro of Stand By Me, and I said something about midway through the summer, I was like, we're probably not going to do that movie. And the reason why is because after I put that clip in there, and it fell within our parameters of what we were doing for the retro summer.
Children in Peril.
Yeah, or slash unsupervised.
Unsupervised,
But that is such a boomer movie. And I mean, it is just 50s nostalgia is all it is.
Which is so funny when you think of who came out of that movie.
Yeah, and of course it's Stephen King wrote it, so which makes perfect sense because he's obsessed with that time in
the
American history,
late 50s, early 60s feel to it.
And it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong,
it's phenomenal.
But it is most definitely not Gen X. I mean, even though it came out while we were young, it still is. That movie
was a summer movie.
It was, but that movie is not for us.
No.
And
okay, that movie is for us on one aspect of it.
That movie is for us about as much as Forrest Gump is for us.
Hang on. That movie is for us on one aspect of it in the sense that you have
the Big
four of the most iconic Gen X actors to come out of that. Well, actually, technically, you could throw a fifth one in there, too.
Who would be the fifth?
Kiefer.
Oh, I forgot about Kiefer.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland and River Phoenix.
Will Wheaton. I know you cannot turn your nose.
This guy, while he hasn't had the most spectacular,
I would not say he's an iconic Gen X.
No, he is, actor, but not.
And I definitely would not say.
Hold on. You're going to let me talk. Dang it! He's not so much an actor or any of that, but he's
a personality.
He's very much a personality, but he's gone more for the gamer geek. Culture representative for our generation.
I'm almost willing to give him a dismissal because of his affiliation with Big Bang Theory, but
what?
it just plays to the plays to it too much. But
that was the whole point of him being on the show. Is he's not just playing himself; he's playing a fictionalized version of himself. That's a bigger
fair. I'll give you that.
And
to your comment about Jerry O'Connell, I'll give Jerry O'Connell a pass just for the simple fact that he was the main character in one of the
My Secret Identity.
Well, I loved him in My Secret Identity. Don't get me wrong.
I was good about Tomcats.
Joe's Apartment was what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, Joe's Apartment.
I loved that movie. I love the short and then the movie that came from
biggest
it.
And let's not forget about Sliders.
The biggest thing he was attached to was Jerry Maguire.
No, well, the best thing that
I said the biggest thing he was attached to was Jerry Maguire. Well, maybe the best thing he's been attached to was Rebecca Romijn.
There you go. There you go.
I love. Was it Mad TV or SNL that had that sketch with him where he was like, they're like, "Who are you?" He's like, "No, you remember I was the fat kid from Stand By Me," and he had the card that said "Fat Kid from Stand By Me" on it.
God, I don't know what's
like the idea. Miraculous transformation.
Yes,
from being that character to what he is. But and of course John Cusack's in the movie. Plays his older brother.
Yeah, Denny.
Yeah, and of course Corey Feldman.
Yeah,
I mean that's I get it. I will give you.
That was
two,
the incubator.
Three, counting Cusack of iconic
Kiefer. I'm sorry, no, you cannot grumble at Kiefer.
I can grumble at Kiefer. No. I like Kiefer Sutherland. I like his acting. I like some of his movies.
I give you the Jack Bauer Power Hour. Yeah, come on.
Forget that. I like his solo albums.
I haven't listened to much of his stuff. I have to check it out.
Not the country stuff. I'm talking about the hard rock stuff when he did the rock band, when he was jumping into Christmas trees in Europe.
Nice.
Was he actually in that band, or was he? I thought he was just managing them.
He might have just been managing. I think that was but he had a rock band at one point.
Yeah, I think he was managing the band, and that was the whole.
But that
drunk as shit.
Oh yeah,
that band.
I mean, that was that clip.
I like that band. I wish I could have found their album somewhere.
That may be an opportunity for a future episode, as far as celebrities that were in other bands.
We've already done it.
Okay. Right. See what happens when I get to the party late, kids. This is what happens.
We did a whole episode about celebrity albums, and so it was.
Well, I wasn't talking about celebrity albums. I was talking about celebrities fronting bands.
Yeah,
that's kind of what
Star.
We talked about all of that stuff. So
what was the one that?
What episode was that? Go back and find out what episode that was, so we can plug it
back.
Yeah, good plug. Nice pull. I like it.
Let's go back and let's plug it.
What was what's the one that the guy that played the Joker? What the hell's his name?
The Joker. Which one?
Oh, you're talking about 30 Seconds to Mars.
30 Seconds to Mars. Yeah. Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
Don't ever refer to Jared Leto as the Joker.
No,
okay?
No, I didn't
I never said he was Catalano. That's
I never said he was the Joker. I said he was
the
guy that played the Joker.
Yeah, that's he will always be Jordan Catalano.
Yeah. Or the guy that cuts his arm off in, was it 26 Hours or whatever the hell that movie was?
No, you got the wrong one.
Oh,
that was Franco.
Is that James Franco?
127 hours.
I can, yeah.
And he also wasn't the. Oh, he also was not the one that lost his arm in.
No, Leto
Requiem for a Dream.
Leto is the one that played Mark David Chapman.
Yes, and he also played Prefontaine.
Steve Prefontaine.
Yeah, you ever seen that movie? Prefontaine?
I never did.
He was actually really good in it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
That was back in the late '90s somewhere. I'm looking for it.
I'm looking for it too.
No, it's back here a ways.
In any case,
you can do an edit here
while you guys are digging. But while you guys are digging, going back to the summer stuff, I mean, even just some of the songs that came out of the movies that we've covered were just so damn iconic. I mean, we spent 15, 20 minutes just talking about the soundtrack from Risky Business alone.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't have that. You have Tangerine Dream. You have, of course, the Phil Collins song, just.
Something I forgot to bring up when we were talking about E.T.
What's that?
Remember the song that was playing whenever they're playing Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, my gosh. What was it?
It was Jim Carroll Band, People Who Died.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I caught that. I was like, I never, of course, when I was in 82, when I saw that movie, I had no clue who the Jim Carroll Band was. But immediately I was like, oh, I know that song.
And you've seen his movie, right?
What, Basketball Diaries?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. it was so funny. I actually remember watching Basketball Diaries for the first time, and I'm like, okay, I can see.
The episode is episode 102. It's called Double Threatening.
Okay.
And it's all about celebrity, like actors that decided they wanted to record. And yes, we talk about
Don Johnson. Better be on there.
Johnson is like our number one.
Yep. He's still looking for a heartbeat.
Heartbeat. That is such a terrible song.
God. And a horrible video.
What was so funny is that I actually had clips and was playing them, and Dave was like, I have no idea what this is. What are you talking about? It's just like on multiple.
Okay.
Of course, Bruce Willis, Return of Bruno.
Return of Bruno. Because he did what? Respect Yourself. Mm-hmm. He did
we had a whole bunch of stuff.
Under the Boardwalk.
He did Run Around Sue, and it was all a bunch of covers. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was basically bar band fodder is what it was.
Okay, so I'll share a story.
White men trying to have soul,
I'll share a story with you on this.
You leave the commitments out of this.
They actually had soul. There's a difference.
When the infamous Amy and I were just dating, yes, we're now married, kids.
But you know what really pissed me off?
What's that?
About the Return of Bruno? He did not do Seagram's Golden Wine Coolers.
Ah, it's wet and it's dry.
Oh, my.
Yes.
I know.
But when we were just dating, okay? As Dave is retching over here. But when Amy and I were just dating, we were talking about the Eddie Murphy album, the infamous one that has Party All the Time. Mm-hmm. Well, I told her that was not his first single. His first single was a song called Boogie in Your Butt.
Boogie in Your Butt, yep.
I played this for her, and the faces that were made during this song, I honestly don't think she ever forgave me for it.
There's
like, how does that exist, and why did you make me listen to it?
Boogie in Your
because
Butt.
if I had to hear it, you have to hear it too.
There's that song, and then there's a later single called Put Your Mouth on Me.
Yes.
That I'm like, how in the world? I know it's Eddie Murphy. That's probably how he got the pass for the titles of those two songs. But still,
correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he do a song with Michael Jackson?
He did, and I can't remember the name of it. I remember that video that was like such a bad green screen.
It was bad green, a lot of wind.
It was like rainbows and clouds, and it's
weird.
It's terrible.
Weird, horrible stuff.
That was I think that was either at the very end of the '80s or very beginning of the '90s. One of the two.
That's another one that I think that we need to do an episode on, is just video tropes.
Oh God.
The specific tropes that were used in music videos.
And of course, I know that I'm putting this out there, so somebody's going to steal it that hears this. But I think I've talked to you before about, because I know you've done bar trivia.
Yes.
You hosted it and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be awesome to do music video bingo.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
What's up with you?
There it is. Okay.
What's up with you, Dave?
Where we're basically where basically you have bingo cards with video tropes written in different places, and then you show music videos.
We are totally doing this.
Whenever one of you get the trope, you get to mark it off. And
we are totally doing this. I will start on this tomorrow. I
love giving Barry ideas. It's like, hey, I got this idea for something. And it's like he comes back next week with like a whole folder full of stuff.
You shouldn't have said that live on the air. Cut this out because we can actually like develop this and sell that to Kenmore or something.
Yeah, well, but
Kenmore. They're going to make a washing machine out of it?
Or
Kenner.
I am living off of anger, coffee, and 3 hours sleep right now. So
how is this different than any other weekend?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
This is your life, Dave. It's
how did I get here?
Your car. It's parked outside. Anyway,
are you questioning your life choices right now?
Every day.
So what you're saying is,
every day.
Why are we here? What's life all about? That's what you're saying? About to segue into the meaning of life here from Monty Python.
My God.
I think I'm done for the day. Is there more coffee?
This is Dave tapping.
There is. What was the song? Was it "Kiss Me, Son of God"? Was that the name of the
song? Oh, Monty Python. Giants.
Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorites. Yeah.
But Monty Python did that originally.
No.
Was it not?
No.
I was.
No, "Kiss Me, Son of God" was "They Might Be Giants." Okay, it was off of Lincoln, I think it was. It was either Lincoln or
really. You're going to question the Might Be Giants fan?
I was about to say, "Kiss Me, Son of God."
Yeah.
No, the Monty Python one was. Always look on the bright side of life.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, which, okay. So when I was in college, and I still for the life of me don't know how they got away with this, but there was a radio station. There was a radio channel in Memphis called 96X. Okay. And one of the DJs on their late night, Saturday night shows would always use Always Look on the Bright Side of Life as the closer. And apparently whoever their program director was or whoever's supposed to be monitoring this wasn't quite familiar enough with the song and forgot a few lines in that one.
Yes.
And I was like, how the hell did they get away with that?
I remember when I was in high school.
You already answered it. It was what time on a Saturday night?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody, they ran out of time to give a damn. So.
Believe me, the program director is asleep. At
I'm
point,
sure.
So
the stuff I played from like 10:30 on is always going to be questionable.
I remember in high school, discovering Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Okay, which sends you down a rabbit hole. This is back in the video store days, and like, oh look, there's other Monty Python stuff, and then renting Life of Brian.
Right.
And like, wow, this is not the Monty Python I was expecting. Thoroughly enjoying it.
Oh, yeah.
But, that is a brilliant satire of religion, and not like sacrilegious, not anything. It's just a satire,
It's a what if.
It really is. It's kind of one of those like, oh no, this is about someone who runs parallel with Jesus' life. It's like, all right, I get that, I'm going to say something that you guys are probably going to think is serious sacrilege. It's sacrilege. I've never seen The Meaning of Life.
Great movie. It is definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I know. I know enough about it to where I was like, it's probably something I should watch, but it's just one that it just kind of escaped somewhere in there.
And that's fair. I mean, I'm not going to give you too much crap on that one because Monty Python is definitely one of those genres of films that you have to be in the mood, and the mindset for.
I get it.
It's not something that you're just going to be all of a sudden kicking around and, hey, flipping channels, here it is. No, it doesn't work like that.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Yeah. I mean, now on the flip side, Flying Circus, I will watch every single episode whenever it is on.
I remember
I got paid to watch Flying Circus.
Oh, where can I get this job?
When I was in college at Western,
yes,
I worked at the PBS station that was on the college campus.
That's where I discovered Flying Circus way back in the day.
And
PBS.
One of the shifts that I worked was the Saturday night, like whatever to midnight, because I had to turn the transmitter off at midnight. It was still one of those stations. And basically the last couple 3 hours was Ramsey Lewis, jazz with Ramsey Lewis.
Oh yeah. The In Crowd.
Austin City Limits.
Oh, yes.
And then like 2 hours or an hour and a half of Monty Python's Flying Circus.
I remember when, as a kid, like in the 80s, our local Channel 8 PBS station.
MPT.
Yeah. On Saturday nights.
Yes.
They would show Monty Python's Flying Circus. They would show Doctor Who.
And they would show Are You Being Served?
They would also show unedited Benny Hill.
Yes. Yep. Oh my gosh, I forgot about Benny Hill.
Yep. And I remember getting a complete eyeful one night of
to this day.
Okay. It's
to this day.
I think they also did Faulty Towers too.
They may have. I know.
Is it the Blackadder or Faulty Towers?
To this day, they still show Faulty Towers. They show Last of the Summer Wine.
Yes.
They show Are You Being Served? And my parents again will sit and watch entire blocks of that,
But to this day, I bet if we put on Yakety Sax, you'd start having Benny Hill flashbacks.
Now, the flip side of being able to work that last hour on Saturday nights was occasionally I would have to sit through Pledge, and it seems like they were always in a Pledge thing.
I hated watching those things.
When I was at the station, we were still running the station off of 3/4 inch U-matic tapes.
Oh my God.
And one of the Pledge shows that I had to sit through more than once was 6 hours of Celtic Woman.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
And I would have to,
God.
And those tapes were only like an hour long. So every hour I would have to
put a new one in.
I'd have to put the tape where they would overlap, and I would have to sync them up.
Right.
And then switch it midstream so it would come out seamless over the air.
Oh, jeez. Well,
luckily they're the new kids have all the cool automation stuff. Yeah.
Well, and I can.
Dave's a wizard.
Oh yeah, you're a wizard, Harry.
I am a wizard.
No, he can throw fireballs.
I have actually done saddle work for tape editing.
Well, I will say this: I can remember vividly the exact moment that I got truly engulfed with any of the guys in Monty Python. There was a show on Nickelodeon that was called Don't Just Sit There. And it was
John Cleese was on that, wasn't it?
That's exactly what it was. It was the one where, because it was right around the time A Fish Called Wanda came out, and
which I did not like that.
I love that movie. Go back and watch it again.
What was the sequel? There was a sequel.
Fierce Animals.
Was that it?
Fierce Creatures.
That was a better movie than A Fish Called
They called it
I
an equal.
disagree.
They called it an equal because it wasn't, which is funny because at one point John Cleese calls Jamie Lee Curtis Wanda. Mm-hmm. You know, and she's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then just like, you know, what? But it was just
I'm sorry. Fish Called Wanda is still one of the funniest damn movies. Now, when I watched it as a kid, I didn't understand any of it.
Right.
But I remember watching this show and this guy coming on named John Cleese that I had no idea who in the world he was.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, this new comedy, and he's talking about doing Python beforehand. And as he's doing it, he's taking his handkerchief out and he's tying the corners of it into knots, puts it on the top of his forehead, puts his glasses on, and starts doing one of the bits from Python with something about a brick slamming it up against his head and all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I am just hooked.
At that point, you know what I knew John Cleese from? The American Express commercial.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that one?
I do remember.
Hello, I'm John Cleese.
Yeah. I'm John Cleese, and I'm British.
Yeah. It just because it was that absurdity that Monty Python had,
and did you ever see the wake after Graham had passed away when they all got together?
Yeah. So they had his ashes,
and they knocked it over,
and they're sitting there smoking cigars and flicking the ashes.
No, the best part is when they knocked it over, and then somebody runs and gets a dustbuster.
Yep. And what's even better is when they put it back up at the very end of it. He's like, "Oh wait, what was they saying?" And the top starts popping, and it's doing always look on the bright side of life. I did see that. I remember because it was at HBO because Jon Stewart was hosting it, and he brought them all together and said, and like they were on fire.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, and you can tell. You can go back and watch that segment of them sitting there around, with the ashes and everything, all improv.
Well, and they're
bit, and they're trying to outdo each other.
Yeah,
they are so.
But
and
that was working. That was Monty Python. That's what they would do in the writers' room. To build what we actually.
You're assuming they wrote.
They didn't write anything. Somebody came and said, "I got an idea for something." Okay. Table that until we get in front of cameras.
They wrote. They would spitball it off of them in the room while they were sitting around smoking cigars and drinking.
Exactly,
and then they'd go out and film it.
Exactly, and that's
the Ministry of
the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Yes, Silly Walks. Yes.
Well, and the best part is they chose Cleese to do those because Cleese was he Oxford? I can't remember if he went to Oxford.
Yes,
he went to
Oxford.
But he was.
Maybe it was one of those fancy British
Ivy League.
He was the hoity-toity, and the fact that they let him play some of the weirdest characters, I was like, that's perfect.
He was so tall and so lanky.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. The smallest movement he made was over-exaggerated. So when he actually over-exaggerated, it looked other-humanly.
I'll tell you what's so weird is that for years, I had no idea that Terry Gilliam was American.
Yeah, he was the only American on that group.
But I was just like, you'd watch all the stuff, and of course, he was usually doing a British accent, and it's like, I had no clue that he was actually American. And one day, I'm like watching an interview with him, and I'm like, why does he sound like me?
Yeah.
What's going on here? It's like,
and this is funny,
okay.
He's
so doing a bit, right?
It's you guys know so much about Python, but you're not a big fan of Fish Called Wanda. That movie... that's where I learned that Kevin Kline can do comedy.
I hate Kevin Kline.
I adore Kevin Kline. That dude is hilarious.
You say so.
Oh my gosh.
It depends.
Okay, boomer.
Don't call me stupid. Don't call me stupid.
I think a lot of the reason I don't like Kevin Kline is because of my absolute and just to the core disdain
for the Big Chill. Okay, that's fair.
And I mean, just
see, you were cursed from the beginning. I would encourage you go back and watch Silverado. I loved him in Silverado.
I don't like that movie a whole lot.
Watch In and Out.
No,
In and Out,
and I don't want to watch Dave. And
Dave
I
loved.
How in the hell did he marry Phoebe Cates? How in the hell did he marry Phoebe Cates?
Is it a David Bowie situation?
Possible.
I don't know, but that's one of those like Kevin Kline. Or no, I'm not going to go Kevin Kline. The Big Chill. I've said it on here before, and I will always maintain that movie does not deserve that soundtrack.
No, it does not.
I completely agree.
That soundtrack is way too good for
soundtrack
that movie.
Is awesome.
The soundtrack is amazing.
The movie is just it's a boomer hot tub time machine.
Well, and on top of that, how bad of a movie does it have to be when you take somebody that later becomes one of the most iconic
Kevin Costner, and all you see is his hands.
Well, no, I was going to
say
becomes one of the most geeky icons in history with Jeff Goldblum, and you waste him.
Yeah.
It's completely wasted.
But back at
him.
that time, they were wasting him quite a bit in things. Honestly, it was one because you remember 10 Speed and Brown Shoe?
Yes.
Okay, he was good in that show.
Yeah.
Okay, I enjoyed it, but it was one of those things where it's like, okay, he's this comedy guy. You get him in what was it? Death Wish 2?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, where he plays a gang member. Yeah. Well, and then you turn around and see him in Cronenberg's The Fly,
and that was kind of the turning point.
And I was like, okay,
that was okay.
No,
now I love Transylvania 65000.
Earth Girls are easy.
Earth Girls are easy. Yeah,
I love that movie.
But it's one of those things that was kind of who Jeff Goldblum was for a long time before he finally became Jeff Goldblum. Okay,
let's call it. He's been the grandmaster for decades at this point.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong.
You're
not wrong.
The tag on the end of that movie is brilliant.
Yeah,
you know what we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Have you seen the tag on the end of it?
No.
Like
what
after
happens?
credit scene?
What happens?
Okay, so the whole thing. Okay, for those of you who don't know, we're talking about Thor Ragnarok.
If you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, this is going to be your spoiler alert for the end credit scenes.
The end credit scene. Like all the way through the credits, not the mid credit scene, but the end credit scene. There's this big revolution that's going on. Yeah. They've come after him.
Right.
And so they find him in a garbage container or something. They open it up. It's like a big storage container. But he comes out and he's like, oh, hey, you caught me. Okay, well, it was a good revolution. I think we can all agree that this was successful. So, let's just go back to normal, and everything will be okay. All right? And he starts to walk off, and everybody's like, all the slaves are like, what the hell is he talking about? But it's the most Jeff Goldblum of
when you go full Goldblum.
I know. It's there is no Goldblum like sexy Goldblum in Jurassic Park.
Ian Malcolm.
Ian Malcolm.
I'm sorry.
That's a big pile of shit.
Are we still talking about The Big Chill?
Oh.
Wow. He's been the grandmaster.
All right, gold star for that one. Okay.
He's been the grandmaster for years, and as evidence, I give you apartments.com.
I was going to say apartments.com.
Yes.
Because he's just the grandmaster in a black suit.
Do you know what is a great Jeff Goldblum role? Igby Goes Down.
I've seen it a long time ago.
You know what? The movie itself is
yeah.
But Jeff Goldblum is amazing because he's not being Jeff Goldblum. It is. He kind of starts off that way, and it's the whole deal, because he's having an affair with Amanda Peet,
right?
The character, and then Igby is having an affair with her also. Which I think Goldblum plays his stepfather, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
so it's one of those things where his stepfather is having an affair on Igby's mom,
right?
And Igby is having an affair with the same woman that his stepfather is, and Goldblum shows up at the apartment, knowing full well what all has been going on.
Yeah.
And he shows up and he's being all Jeff Goldblum and everything, and Igby's kind of trying to talk his way. It's Kieran Culkin plays Igby. Yeah. And he shows up all, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And Goldblum's just sitting there and he's being Jeff Goldblum. But the entire time he's taking off his jacket and he's rolling up his sleeves.
About to deck him.
And he fucking wails on him. And it's just like this complete turn. All of a sudden, it's like, and he becomes a completely different character. And it's just like, wow, did not see that coming.
Oh,
I'll tell you another movie that he's excellent in.
Because let's admit it, he's like right on the line between, hey, how you doing?
He's very Christopher Walken in that.
I will murder you.
Have you seen Hotel Artemus?
Yes.
He was wonderful in that also. That is a movie that I went to see because
You went to go see it because Dave Bautista's in it.
No, I went to go see it because I had Movie Pass at the time and I was seeing pretty much anything. It's like, hey, I'm not paying for this. Whatever it is, I'm going to go see it. And I'd heard good things about it. People saying, hey, this might be one of those sleeper movies that, and I definitely agree. Yeah. Oh my God, this movie is good.
Well, you have Jodie Foster, you have Dave Bautista, and you have Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. What more do you need?
Well, I'll tell you, the one that surprised the hell out of me was Jenny Slate.
Yes.
Appearing all of a sudden as a police officer.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's not Jenny. That's Jenny Slate. Like, what is she doing in this movie? if you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah,
it is great.
It's very gritty.
Okay.
It's very futuristic-y kind of feel.
And it's also
Hotel Artemus.
it's also kind of bottle episode-y.
Very much
because
so.
it all happens inside of this one hotel.
Oh, 4 rooms.
No,
Sort of?
no. There's not multiple storylines. It's all one big story.
There is
there
kind of story.
is.
I mean,
I don't know how to describe it. It's basically there's a riot going on. Jodie Foster is like she's a nurse or
She's a mafia nurse.
and so there's this riot going on in whatever city it is, and so it's one of those things that the Hotel Artemis is basically for gangsters to come and get patched up after.
Oh, so it's a Continental.
It's
very
Yeah.
It kind of has that same feel, but it has more of a futuristic feel to it because there's a lot of technology involved in it, and everything is
she's
run
not
down.
a nurse. She's a doctor. Actually.
Yeah, everything is run down. Everything is just no. She's nurse because
she is a nurse. That's right. That's right.
Batista keeps referring to her as nurse.
That's true. That's true. And Dave Batista is one of her orderlies.
Yeah.
And
what is it? Everest.
Everest. Yeah. And it's just one of those movies where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen this before. And then you watch it, you're like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people slept on it. A lot of people slept on that movie.
There are some movies that are hidden gems like that, and then there are ones that you want to be really, really good, and then you watch them, and you're like, when the best thing you can talk about is the soundtrack of a movie that says everything you need to know, I give you the movie Sucker Punch.
I've never even seen that movie.
I got suckered into watching that movie based on the trailer.
I saw the trailer and I was like, nope.
I was so angry with that movie.
Nope.
So angry.
Because I have always been really leery of Zack Snyder. Really leery of him.
That was my introduction
get me wrong.
to how big of a piece of crap Zack Snyder is.
300 well enough.
Yeah.
That was kind of what, and again, I did not see 300 until a couple of weeks ago. That was a huge movie. Like, it was a huge movie.
That's the only good thing he's really done.
Not true.
Well,
okay, give me another one that was halfway decent for me.
Watchmen.
Yeah. I gotta go with him on this.
I mean, it was good, but he deviated.
Yeah, and he made it better.
No,
so it was.
I don't agree.
No. The thing
that's another one. We'll
Watchmen
agree to
was
disagree.
okay.
On
Watchmen was decent. I'll give you 300 at Watchmen.
Right.
Name something else.
I know those are the only two.
Yeah.
I'll admit that. I mean, that's a.
And I'm sorry.
And when I talk about
when you hear about who's in the cast on this, it's like, oh, everything about this should work. I mean, Carla Gugino's in it. Scott Glenn's in it. I mean, you've got just
Jamie Chung.
Jamie Chung is in. What's her name from Disney Channel? This was her first big up role.
One?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
All those Disney kids go on to do something.
Yeah,
like Sucker
well,
Punch
this was
eventually.
her Vanessa Hudgens.
Oh, is she in it? Okay.
This was her first big girl role
after all the High School Musical.
Exactly.
Crap.
So it's like everything about this should work, and then you get to it and you're like, what the hell am I watching? And I'll say this much: the soundtrack I loved.
Yeah,
that is the first time I've ever heard any movie use a cover version of "Search and Destroy" by the Stooges. Yeah. I'm like, okay, you have my attention.
Who did the
now.
cover of it though?
Skunk Anansi, I think is the name.
Oh, I love Skunk Anansi.
Anansi, excuse me. Yeah, and
they did a couple.
Tore it up.
They did a couple songs on the Strange Days soundtrack also.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those ones, and maybe that's another one that we look at is, movies where the soundtrack was far better than the actual movie.
There's so many of those.
I know. But yeah.
There are so many of those. Forrest Gump.
Let's see here. You had
amazing soundtrack.
Yeah.
You had Emily Browning doing a cover of Sweet Dreams.
One of the lead actors.
Actually, it's almost all cover songs.
Yeah, it is all covers.
It's all covers.
Yeah. Her version of Sweet Dreams is
but it's got Sweet Dreams Are Made of That. I love that cover. It had White Rabbit on it. It had Search and Destroy on it. It had Tomorrow Never Knows on it. It has Where's My Mind on it. It has Sleep on it. It has Love Is the Drug.
The best.
So Love Is the Drug. The fact that they covered Roxy Music and you have, was it Oscar? It's not Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac. It was Carla
Gugino and Oscar Isaac doing Love Is the Drug. Doing freaking Roxy Music.
Yeah. It had Bjork with Army of Me.
Yes.
It had Smashing Pumpkins with Today. It had Take a Sip, the Dodge and Fusky remix.
I'm going to cut all this out, so I'm not worried about that.
No, seriously, dude. Go just check out the soundtrack alone.
I mean, listen to that on the way home.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite, and it's not even, I'll be honest, it's not the cover itself, but it's a cover of the song that I cannot unsee the scene is the cover of the Pixies' "Where Is My Mind" from Observe and Report.
Ooh.
Have you not seen that movie?
A while back. I don't remember that scene where they on that.
At the end of it, whenever the Flasher's running through the mall,
they're using "Where Is My Mind"?
It's a cover. It's not the Pixies version.
Okay.
But it is that whole, I cannot unsee this no matter how hard I try.
Well, it's kind of like from 500 Days of Summer when you got Joe Gorlet doing "Here Comes Your Man."
Oh, I thought you were going to go with "You Make My Dreams Come True."
No, because he didn't sing that. When he sang "Here Comes Your Man," and I'm like, okay. Well, and you've also got what's her name, Zooey Deschanel doing "Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want."
The thing with the Pixies, unfortunately, is that they have become code for, hey, this is how we're going to build our indie credibility in this movie.
Yeah.
And just like, God.
And I hate that because I like the Pixies.
I do too. Now, what I think is hilarious is that Apple commercial that used gigantic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like someone obviously did not read the lyrics to this song before they put this on an Apple commercial.
Apple gets what they deserve at this point.
But yeah, I mean, Have you seen Observe and Report, Dave?
I don't think so. Is that a Kevin James thing?
No.
Who's
okay.
in that?
No. See, here's the thing.
Seth Rogen.
Here's the thing.
Oh, Seth Rogen. Okay, I knew it was one of those.
It came out shortly after Paul Blart, Mall Cop.
I was like,
and
it's
so
one of those
was,
mall cop movies.
Oh, no. This is not a mall cop movie.
Far from it.
This might be one of the darkest movies you ever watch.
Okay.
It is. Oh, wow. It was not the movie I went in to see, and I saw it in the theater.
Yeah,
but it was not the movie that I went in to see.
So you're saying it's not an hour and a half of Seth Rogen smoking a lot of smoking a lot of weed, talking about James Franco?
No,
that was Green Hornet.
That's like every Seth Rogen movie.
It is an hour and a half of Seth Rogen being
trauma.
He loves not only being a mall cop, like, being a security guard.
Yeah.
He takes it personally whenever someone, shoplifts, or there's this ongoing thread of this flasher in the mall, that's going around to different stores and flashing women and then running away,
Okay. Because it's Anna Faris.
Anna Faris, yeah. And
of course it is.
Well, dude, you've got to see this movie.
Yeah,
you've got to see this movie.
It's another hidden gem.
It really is, and it's one of those things of
as long as you don't make me watch Uncut Gems ever again.
Oh God,
I like that movie. Thank you very much. Now I will say that is a 2-hour anxiety attack.
Oh yeah,
is all that movie is.
Yeah,
that is all that movie.
Not
is.
Exactly what I need in my life. Thank you very much.
Let's put it this way. Uncut Gems is one of those movies I'm glad that I saw. I will never watch it again.
No.
That is...
I put Uncut Gems in the same category as Pink Flamingos. You've seen it once.
I've seen it once.
You don't need to see it again.
Never need to see it again.
Another movie I don't ever want to see again.
That was,
Well, on a more positive note, on a lighter note, since we were talking a little bit about covers, I sent something to Dave earlier this week, and I think it kind of blew his friggin' mind. There is a group of individuals that has produced
this video is,
and we may have to post this video in.
Is this Metallica
links.
Doing?
No,
no. This is 3 artists.
No, Dave took it personally.
Oh, you better believe I took it personally. You don't touch that band or that song, and especially if you're Metallica, and you do it so dirty like they did.
Okay. So this is 3 artists, and I have to admit I had to do a little digging to find out who they were. The vocalist on it was Dino Jalusic, who is the lead singer of a band called Animal Drive.
Okay.
The guitarist was Joel Hoekstra, who is the former guitarist for Whitesnake and Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Okay.
Which means he's the former guitarist for Sabotage?
Yes. And I'm trying to remember who the drummer was. But
it's Dave It
was Mike Portnoy.
Mike Portnoy from previously of Dream Theater.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But the lead singer is
was that the Jane cover?
Yes,
okay. I
that's
remember you guys pointing
Jefferson Starship's Jane.
Look,
I'm like, of all songs,
but
let's
the
be
kid
honest.
doing the lead singing is what caught my attention.
Blue
This guy
is up.
has got pipes.
Be honest. The only reason anyone's talking about Jane is because Orange Cassidy started using that song again for
I
his
disagree,
intro
sir.
music. So
I
it's
disagree entirely. While
I'm
that
sorry.
is true,
I'm going to say this. Every time somebody brings up that wrestler, all I can think of is
Orange Julius.
and
Amy loves making that joke.
and Denim. It's just
Yeah.
Have you ever watched any of his matches?
Watch his indies. His indies are
Dude.
hilarious.
The whole thing with Orange Cassidy, because it's the whole his
I've
intro music.
got to take blame for this. I did this to myself.
You did.
His intro music used to be "Where Is My Mind?"
Yes.
Pixies, which was awesome. I love the fact that when he comes to the ring, when they're doing the introduction, it's like from wherever, Wayne, whatever. Almost as good as Danhausen's wings, or
640
Oh yeah,
pounds,
he's like standing 6'9".
6'10".
Yeah, it's like he's like, no, you're not. But Orange Cassidy, I didn't know how to take him at first because I had never seen him on the Indies.
Yes.
So when AEW first started, I'm like, why is everybody going crazy? Because he didn't wrestle for the longest time.
He just stood there.
But
He stands there in mirror aviators and a jean jacket looking
But
With a
ridiculous.
T-shirt of a picture of himself wearing
exactly.
a jacket and aviators.
And he
with
does that lazy thumbs up.
No, it's not even up. It's sideways.
I know. Like I said, that's why I call it the lazy thumbs up, where it's like, but it's one of those things with him that AEW did a brilliant job with him in the beginning for like the first year he was
He
in
didn't
there.
speak.
He didn't speak. He didn't wrestle. But he would show up. Okay, and so it was like one of my favorite moments of that was that there was the Young Bucks and Ortiz and
Proud and Powerful.
Proud and Powerful had an ongoing feud.
Yes.
There's a backstage segment where they're fighting all through the back, and they're
remember
fighting
this.
all through the back and all the back. And Santana throws, I think it was one of the young. I think it was
Matt.
it wasn't Matt. I think it was the other one. Throws him through a door, which is a bathroom.
It's a bathroom door, and he's standing there.
And Orange. I almost said Orange Juice. Orange Cassidy is just standing there with his back against the wall, with his aviators on, everything, with his hands in his pockets, just standing there. And it's so funny because the crowd's singing and of course they're going nuts. And Santana just looks at him, reaches down, picks up Jackson, pulls him out, and slowly closes the door. Like it just.
Well, and then you have the moment that he had with Jericho on the debate where he spoke.
I know.
That was straight out of old school.
And it literally is one of those things we were talking about. Was it erosion, like
something along those
global
lines.
warming or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, wait, I got this, and just like spouts off like all,
It was
all the
basically the
information
scene from old school. Yeah.
Thank you for joining Wrestling Talk.
Well, I mean,
this has been Barry and Allen.
But I'll admit,
You did this.
I know I did this,
I'll
and I
admit with-
apologize to our listeners. I've got to take the lick on this one.
I Orange Cassidy, a little bit of him goes a long way, though.
Granted.
That is
Granted.
a thing. But yeah, that's
But the Pixies,
again
absolutely.
the whole with the Jane thing. When he started using that music, I was like, oh, really? Starship?
But
I'm like, Starship?
When
really?
was the last time you've listened to that
I
song?
know.
Go back and listen to it because that sucker
Look,
icks.
here's another one for me, and it comes from another television show that, have you watched? I know I've talked to Dave about this, but have you watched the show Hacks on HBO Max?
Not yet. I've talked about it.
No, you have got to watch that show. It's got 2 seasons now. Okay, but in the season finale of the second season, and I've never been a huge fan of the song, but I have become almost obsessed with it since then.
Okay.
They used Supertramp's "Goodbye Stranger."
I hate that song.
I did too until I saw
hate
this,
that
and for
song.
some reason that song got stuck in my head, and it's in regular rotation on my.
I don't know how either of you two could hate Supertramp.
I can't stand Supertramp.
I don't like
Take the long way
Supertramp.
home.
Yeah,
No.
I'm not a big fan of them in general. And
No.
but that song in particular always kind of annoyed me.
Okay, you can like them.
But like I said, it was used in the season finale of this, and I was like, maybe I need to go back and revisit this.
Yes, you
And
need to go back
I
and
did,
revisit
I did.
Supertramp.
I did that song, and I'm like, this song is really good. I like this.
In total.
So,
You need to go back and listen to all of them.
Yeah.
You're going to have a hard sell with me on Supertramp. I'm sorry. I cannot stand Supertramp.
Yeah.
That's one of those bands that if you want to get me to change the station quicker than anything, start playing them.
I know.
You know.
And and like I said,
I know
I've never
how.
liked that song up until then. And it's
Now I know how I'm going to get revenge on you then.
But yeah, it's funny how songs will all of a sudden come back into the zeitgeist out of nowhere.
Right. Well, okay. So
it'll come back around.
So
yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly.
It'll come back around.
It'll come back around.
We'll throw one out here and then just. Oh God. Well,
do you know what we're talking about?
Yes, I do.
No, do you know about what we're actually talking about? The How I Met Your Mother episode. Mm-hmm. All right.
So just to summarize here, to kind of wrap up, since you talked about that, we talked about the Orange Cassidy thing. We talked about Metallica.
Is he trying to wrap us up?
I know.
Did he say the word wrap up?
You're damn right I did.
Are you bored with us?
Always.
We still haven't made you a full episode, a full partner in the show yet.
You're not. You're
still a pledge.
Yet.
You're still a pledge.
Make me some coffee. What are you doing?
What I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted was, we talked about Stranger Things bringing back Master of Puppets. We talked about,
but did that song ever really go away?
Fair,
come on.
But
now it did bring back Running Up That Hill. Absolutely,
Run Up the Hill. All right, I'll give you that.
Let's admit it. Pre-Black Album Metallica never went away.
Okay, that's fair. What is
Black Album Metallica will never go away.
No matter Black Album Metallica,
no matter
should
how
go
much
away.
Dave wants it to, it will never go away.
All right.
As far as I'm concerned, Metallica died with Injustice for All.
All right. So what is a song? You only get one, Alan, Dave.
Dave's the one you got to talk to here. Don't even
get one song that some TV show, some movie, something in the next year is going to refocus on and get the eruption that you got with Kate Bush and that you got with Metallica. If you could rebirth one song, what is it? I already know what mine's going to be.
Go to Alan.
Oh, all right.
Hold on. I have got to.
And mine's kind of in the era of Kate Bush. So
okay.
I'll go, well, all right. While you guys are looking, I'll go ahead and throw mine out there because I was thinking about it while we're talking about it. The one that I would love to see somebody actually utilize properly in an iconic scene would be the song "Here's Where the Story Ends" by the Sundays.
Oh, that's such a good song. That's a good song.
It's an amazing song. I don't think it ever got the credit that it deserved.
It did not. Now, it's one of those things, that song did make the Sundays a thing.
Yeah.
Back in 1990.
That and the cover of Wild Horses.
But that was same album.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things.
They only had like 2 albums.
They've had 3 albums total, but there were 2 albums that actually, because there was that one, and then there was the one that came out in the mid-90s that had Summertime on it, which was,
I forgot about that one.
And then they released another album like 10 years later.
And then didn't the lead singer died or something?
No, she's still, her and the guitar player have been married for like years and years and years. Okay. They took time off because they had a family.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of the whole.
I'm thinking of Christy McCall. Never mind.
Yeah. But it was just kind of one of those like that's a good one. That's a real
I would love to see. I would love to see that get the Kate Bush treatment.
Because I think that definitely would deserves.
Are we talking about a certain time period or just any time? I realize this is a fairly new song because it was released in 1990.
Okay,
but I would
love.
Still
32 years.
Yeah, I was about to say
that's not really new.
I know he hurts.
I think a part of me just
he hurts.
Emotional damage.
He hurts.
I think I would like to see from the Persistence of Time album somebody use the Intro to Reality / Belly of the Beast.
Ooh, interesting choice.
Because you've got that huge build up in that intro, and it goes immediately over into Belly of the Beast.
Right.
And that thing just builds and builds and builds, and then it's.
That's an interesting choice.
I'll tell you,
I wouldn't have tagged that one.
I'm having a real tough time narrowing this down because I have an artist or actually a band.
Okay.
That the Replacements have been toyed with multiple times over the last couple of decades of them trying to bring, like, Can't Hardly Wait came out in the late 90s, which is named after one of their songs, and that song's on the soundtrack, even though it's not actually in the movie. It's over the credits,
right.
Okay? Adventureland used... Adventureland and the New Mutants movie that came out a couple of years ago both used Bastards of Young.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one of those things where they've toyed with, hey, let's do it. But I'll tell you the song that I really would love by them to come back used in a very artsy way.
Yep.
is the song Alex Chilton.
Oh, good song.
That song
Good pull.
deserves to be brought back into the zeitgeist and people actually forced to listen to it and be like, hey, maybe we wrote those guys off.
That's a good pull.
Easily. I mean,
That's a real good pull. I mean, yours was good, Dave, but that's, yeah.
That is...
I could see that one.
Alex Chilton is one of those songs.
It's the metal guy in me.
Well, no, I mean, it's like, believe me.
I'm just, nothing wrong with the choice.
We see that, just like with Metallica, with Master of Puppets being used, in this last season of Stranger Things, and all of a sudden, it's funny. I guess you've seen the meme of like where it's the you're at a party in 2022 and you play Master of Puppets and everybody's like into it. It's like, and you played it in 1986 and everybody's just
staring
all
at
those
you,
girls staring at you like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
and it's true. The people who knew in 86.
Right.
In 2022, now Dave has young people stopping him on the street asking if he's listening to Metallica in his car, and it's
that was
awesome.
Absolutely made my day. What's funny is that I'm not listening to anything different today
than
I was when I got my first
Dave,
car.
We all know that about you.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, and we wouldn't change it. All right. So
I listen to new music too. It's just
because he's got to have something to make fun of.
Another song.
I mean, Gojira is awesome.
Mention here.
What's that?
Still in Hollywood by Concrete Blonde.
See, Replacements, Concrete Blonde.
I know. I'm talking about like 80s alt stuff.
Yeah. Who's your honorable mention?
Yeah. Honorable mention.
Throw an honorable mention, and then we're going to wrap it after this because,
It's not like we have like a
I know.
I'd like to see something off of Iron Maiden's Power Slave come back.
Okay.
Okay. Any particular...
Just the whole freaking album. I love that album. I can't tell you.
Just make a movie. Use that as a soundtrack.
I was making deliveries a couple days ago.
I can't tell you how many times how many versions of that vinyl I have gone through at this point. I think I'm like on my 4th or 5th at this point.
I was I was up in Lebanon yesterday. Yeah. Those of you who don't know, Lebanon's a city east. It's Lebanon, not Lebanon. If you're from here,
that's a country.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Exactly. Lebanon. If you're from Lebanon, it's Lebanon. Lebanon. It's like if you're from Mount Juliet around here, it's Mount Juliet. But anyway, I was up there and I'd stopped going to Thornton's or whatever it was, to grab something to drink.
Yeah.
And this couple comes walking in, not our age, a little younger, but not quite our age, maybe older millennial age.
Do 2 minutes to midnight if you're going to make me choose.
Ooh, good choice.
The guy was wearing a was it Somewhere in Time, the Iron Maiden album?
Yeah.
He was wearing a T-shirt with that on it. And the woman he was with was wearing a Guns N' Roses T-shirt. Now, they had both recently been purchased because they were both very still crisp and whatever. But I'm like...
Probably got them from Hot Topic.
Actually, the Guns N' Roses T-shirt, I know exactly where she got it from.
Concert?
No, it came from Target because Target's selling that exact same shirt. I saw it the other day.
Great.
The Iron Maiden might have come from there also because all that stuff has infected retail now.
Right.
Whereas it's one of those things back in the day when I was rocking a Metallica T-shirt.
You got stared at.
Well, I also had to get it. I actually, that Metallica T-shirt that I had way back in the day, I got from someone who bought it at the concert. Yeah. Literally. That's the only way you could get that stuff. Well, now you can go into Walmart and Target and buy all that shit.
You either had to go to the concert or there were...
Or head shops.
Or you could go to somewhere like Rip Magazine or Metal Circus or something like that and order it from the T-shirt shops in the back of the metal magazines.
Or if you knew there was a head shop or a music store might
Soundbar would carry some.
Yeah.
Camelot used to have concert T-shirts.
They would have some, but
that's where I got my Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
But those are the only places
my parents made me take back.
Those are the only places you could get that stuff. Now, like I said, you can just walk right into Target or Walmart, and there they are. Of course, and there's always Hot Topic. But yeah, I mean that's. What's your honorable? You're still thinking of honorable mention.
Think of my honorable mention.
I want to go back to my Alex Chilton there for a second.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, sorry.
For a couple of reasons. One, if you like power pop, there you go. If you like alternative music, there you go. If you like punk music, there you go.
Okay.
If you like Big Star, then you know exactly what this song is about.
And I almost said 13 by Big Star.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with like those guys were huge Big Star fans. And it's Alex Chilton was the lead singer.
It's out of Memphis.
Alex Chilton was also the lead singer of the Box Tops. Most people don't remember that.
Yep.
He has one of the most iconic songs. Yeah, The Letter.
Yep.
He's the guy singing that song.
Yep.
You know, and so it's one of those things where, you know, you go down through that, and of course the whole song is basically a love letter to Alex Chilton. I mean, that is and it's got one of my favorite lyrics. You know, it's "I'm in love." What's that sound? I'm in love with that song.
Yep.
It's like, yeah,
that's
absolutely.
exactly it.
You know, I know. It's just like, yeah.
So I went back and forth on this one a little bit. I think my honorable mention. I mean, I love "Here's Where the Story Ends" by the Sundays. I think that's
such a good song.
Almost a perfect song.
Such a good song.
And this one
I love that she sings it with the British accent. She
Yes.
doesn't change it at all. So.
There's one song in particular by this band that I adore because there's one that gets played to friggin' death, and it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. But the one that I would love to see, kind of in that same vein, is the song "Deadbeat Club" by the B-52s.
All right, I can get that.
Because that's
not bad.
It's such a departure from that. The only other one that I would have thrown out is, using one of the same vocalists, is the song "Candy" by Iggy Pop and
Kate Pearson.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
song.
a good. That's a really good song.
I mean,
I have come up with the tertiary now that my gears are running.
Here we go.
Come up
We're
with
going to be here for the next 3 hours.
Nope,
so it's
I will quit after this.
so I've got 3. This is your third.
This
you
is
get one
my
more.
I get one more.
X.
Which one?
What song?
Sex and Dying in High Society.
Ooh, yes. Good choice. Good choice. I'm surprised you didn't throw Los Angeles out there.
But everybody knows about Los Angeles.
Right.
Not everybody knows about Sex and Dying in High Society. And this could totally be used as part of a soundtrack.
See, and I'm surprised that nobody's really thrown any punk out there. There's, I mean,
that is punk.
The closest,
The Replacements.
the Replacements.
X is punk.
X is border between punk and metal. It's right there.
No,
on that
it
cusp,
is-
'cause
it is.
They've definitely got
X is punk.
They've got a hard edge to them.
It is punk.
I mean,
I've seen these guys. These are
I believe
these guys.
I think it's a
punk.
great pull.
It was back when Lightning 100 was still doing their concert series over in, what was it, West Nashville, West End, somewhere around.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And I got to see.
It was over on Demumbrian.
Yeah, I got to see
So
X.
you're talking about Uptown Mix.
Yeah, Uptown Mix, and
That's
X,
where I got to see Concrete Blonde play.
Yeah.
I also got to see Soul Asylum play there, and that's where I discovered Will Hogue was him
Okay.
playing.
Yeah,
This is
Will
20 years ago.
yeah. All right, Alan, what's your third? Deep pull. Come on, give us a good one.
That's going to be tough.
See, Alex Chilton was a great one, man.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go. It's only down from there. Gosh.
And I think this is going to be getting the Kate Bush treatment. This is
Yeah,
a song that really just kind
know.
of gets elevated because of its the way that it's
And
utilized.
This is going to be really on the nose for me in some ways for people who really know me.
Yep.
And again, it's not a Alex Chilton's kind of an obscure song. Again, if you know, you know,
Right.
type stuff. This one, not so much.
Okay.
Concrete Blonde, even, especially that era of Concrete Blonde,
Yeah.
that's kind of an excuse. That was off their first album,
Right.
You
And
know,
there's
and
a
that
lot
was
of, you say Concrete Blonde, you
there's
can
a
go in
lot of
different directions.
good, yeah. But that one is kind of a punk song.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
still in
definitely
Hollywood. But I'm going to go with "Enjoy the Silence" by Depeche Mode.
That's an interesting pick. That is a
Because
very
I
interesting
think
pick.
that song, as big as it was, and as big as it still is among Depeche Mode fans, I think a lot of kids don't know it and they need to.
Well, and I think that's
there's a lot of kids that are sleeping on Depeche Mode right now that have
Absolutely.
no idea
absolutely.
how good of
to
a
be
group
honest,
they are.
I'm surprised that Stranger Things hasn't used a lot
I'm
more
kind
Depeche
of,
Mode.
and of course we're talking about like the People Are People era there,
Right.
and I could see that, especially Max. I could see Max being a huge Depeche Mode fan.
I can see that.
That's
You pull in Depeche Mode, you pull in In Excess. You could pull in a lot of that.
Actually, I could see Will more doing Depeche Mode because
think?
of his brother's influence.
Pet Shop Boys.
yeah. You get some Weston, or
Because that's
Western
definitely
girls,
a dead end town in a West End world.
Yeah.
Well, oh God, what's the one? Two Tribes. Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
yeah.
You're getting
But
towards that.
it's also one of those things where they are now in the series, though. They're all that stuff was prior.
Doesn't mean it can't bring.
I know they can't, but that's kind of been the whole, like, when you watch that show, like,
It's what's on the radio
it's what's
right
yeah,
then.
exactly.
Right.
That's
Okay,
the whole
that's fair.
thing with them using the Never Ending Story.
Yeah.
That was set a year prior or whatever it was. Yeah, that was when the Neverending Story was out in '85. Metallica's Master of Puppets had just come out. Kate Bush's album that had that song had just been out.
What's the next year that the next season?
It'll be 87. Will be the next one.
I have an episode.
So you know what could
I have an episode then. Uh-oh. We need to come up with what we collectively
what we think they're going to use.
What we think they should use for 87 on Stranger Things.
I'll tell you what, we will table this one and we'll discuss it off air and come up with it. I like this idea.
Before we get out of here,
this might be one that we say for November.
What I have something. Am I the only one here that's seen Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yes.
Okay. You've seen the trailer for it.
Yeah.
They use "Sweet Child of Mine" and no, dude, they use 4 Guns N' Roses songs in that album.
Well, as they should.
I mean, and it's one of those things where I'm like, as being a massive Guns N' Roses fan, part of me really loves that.
Yeah.
Part of me really, really hates that too.
Well, yeah, because now you're going to have a whole new generation be like, oh, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, and it's like, you weren't there, you don't know. Well, and that is a band that you weren't there.
That is a boomer attitude. That is a boomer attitude.
But I'm going to give him a pass on GNR on that one because I agree.
Of all these bands we're talking about, Guns N' Roses is one of those kids discovering them now are never going to understand the sheer ferocity
and as a Gen Xer, it is your responsibility to make sure that they understand the ferocity of that.
See, as a true Gen Xer, whatever. Okay.
Hey, we're complaining about the younger generations and how they don't know anything at all. We should be grabbing these kids by the ears and be like, listen to me, you little...
I get that. And in the same token, though, I mean, we can show them, just like we'll use, Master of Puppets. Perfect example. They can listen to that, and they can form their own perspective on what Master of Puppets is.
They know Master of Puppets because they saw it on a TV show.
Right. And they think it's cool.
That's set in a time period that we grew up in.
They are never truly, and there's no way that they can truly understand
they can't.
The concept of what happened the first time you heard that downbeat.
Yeah.
And you were looking at your buddies going, what is this?
So there's a podcast that you may or may, you guys especially may. It's called The Ongoing History of New Music.
Yes. I'm familiar with it.
That I recently kind of got into because it's been going on for a long time. They took a long hiatus for a couple of years, and they came back, and they're kind of rehashing some of their old stuff. Like they did this whole thing. It's a 15-part series about the history of alternative music,
right?
Which is pretty cool. But they did an episode sometime this year about modern superstar rock bands and why they don't exist any longer. And of course they go through some of like, hey, you got to remember the Killer's first album sold like 10 million copies, but the thing is it wasn't sustained. We're not getting, and they kind of go into all that kind of stuff. That's kind of the problem with music now. It's so, with streaming and with, as I have said so many times, when you have everything at your fingertips 24 hours a day, you have nothing whatsoever. And so it's kind of that whole, again, going back to the Guns N' Roses of it all. They were not a band. They were a gang. And not only were they a gang, they were a force of nature.
Agreed.
That you could not escape no matter what you were doing. You tune in to watch the nice, sappy pop American Music Awards, and you get Slash and Duff going up on the stage drunk and cussing at Middle America.
Yeah.
And as well as, they had riots. We did a whole episode about Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, again, I don't condone a lot of the bad behavior, okay?
Right.
But the thing is that you don't get that stuff today. There is no one on the market. And I hate to even use the word market. There is no one on the scene in music these days that we know of that's doing that it's legit rather than what they think rock stars are supposed to do.
Honestly, I would disagree on one element of it, but it's not where you're looking.
Okay.
When you look at some of the newer country artists... hear me out.
You're going to start trying to sell me on Walton, whatever.
No, actually, I was
mullet dude.
Jamie Johnson and Chris Stapleton.
Okay.
Well, first off, Jamie Johnson is old school outlaw country.
Right,
not
exactly.
a big fan of Jamie Johnson.
Chris Stapleton is kind of
he's blending it. But,
yeah,
you know.
but he was always more bluegrass.
Let's be honest about Chris Stapleton, and I like Chris Stapleton well enough. He's a soul singer who's doing country music, and I'm fine with blending. Yeah, I've seen him live. Yeah, I saw him live back when he was with the Steel Drivers.
Yep,
and was when I really liked the Steel Drivers stuff. It's still not the same.
Oh, I'm not saying it's never going to be the same.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? At almost 50 years old, I don't want it to be the same.
No,
I've moved on. I've moved on to something else. But when you're a teenager and your favorite band is always in the news because they're always getting into a scuffle somewhere because they're fighting with Motley Crue, literally fighting with Motley Crue backstage at the MTV Music Awards,
right,
or this or that or whatever,
or threatening to get in the ring with them,
exactly, or calling out all kinds of music,
Bob Guccione,
yeah, I mean, you're calling out everybody in the music press,
yep,
or this or that, or showing up to causing riots and and this and that, and it's one of those things where it's like you don't get that anymore, and I'm glad we're not seeing riots at concerts anymore, especially as a parent now, because I'm like, I don't want my kids getting involved in that.
Right.
At the time, it wouldn't have bothered me in the slightest. Not that I would have necessarily been the person in there, but it was one of those things where it's like I have been, and we're going to do an episode about concerts, but I have been at 2 concerts that quite easily could have broken out into riots, and like you could feel it in the air, and it's
waiting on one person to screw up, and then it goes from there.
It's both terrifying and exhilarating at the same time.
You mean like that Pantera show that happened out at Starwood, where it turned into tearing?
I wasn't at that show, so that was, but one of them was at Starwood, and we'll talk about that in a future episode. But it's just kind of Dave and I were talking about this the other day, where it's. And I know we sound like the old guys. Just, the old man screams at cloud, whatever, yells at cloud or whatever.
We are the old guys.
I know, but it is still one of those things where we grew up in the copy of, you had the rock and roll.
You referred to it as
hold on. You had
generational cassette copies,
right? It's like you had the rock and roll era, as they call it, from the 50s through the
Golden
60s,
era,
and even into the 70s, a little bit of the classic rock era,
right.
Where it was like, okay, these are the people who are coming along and are kind of setting the baseline for what rock stars are supposed to be,
right?
Okay, and then you get into our era.
You buy the original tape at Camelot,
right? And then you get into our era. And you get to like the copy of that, but there's still something somewhat like it's still the quality is still good enough to where it's like, oh no, they're doing it and they're doing it right for the most part.
You've taken your original tape,
and
you have bought a case of TDKs, and you've made your friend a copy.
Okay, then that friend takes that copy and makes a copy for another friend, and then that person takes that copy and makes a copy for another friend. So now you're 4 generations into it, and the sound quality is shit, and getting worse with each copy. That is the problem with rock music today, because it is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and it's a bunch of people playing rock stars, not being rock stars.
Sorry, I was having a Fight Club flashback when you said that.
I know, but really and truly, it's the same shit that we see here in Nashville with people who come into town and they put on their costume.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm in Nashville. I'm a young 20-something girl. I'm going to have on booty shorts and cowboy boots and a tank top
and a pink cowboy hat.
And a cowboy hat,
or a $20 straw hat that we bought down on Broadway.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
And we're all going to because we're in Nashville for the weekend. This is how we're supposed to dress. This is how we dress in Nashville.
And now I'm a woo girl.
Yeah. Woo! And we're gonna do the pedal tavern. We're gonna do Kid Rock's bar, whatever fucking thing they decide they're gonna go into. And it's all that stuff. And then they go back and they talk about, oh man, we had such a great time in Nashville. We were so Nashville while we were there. And then their friends come in and do the same thing. And then their friends come in and do the same thing.
And the thing about it is
that
the entire 440 circle where we used to go downtown, where Broadway was nothing but adult bookstores, and you get mugged if you go.
Even after they cleaned it up, it still was not just.
It was still
Lower Broad. It was all of Nashville that you went to.
Okay, but hang on. That has happened with any place where you have a foothold of music since the beginning of time, though. When Nashville started with, you
Look,
had people that were dressing up to come into the town, just as you had people in Detroit who were trying to get the same type of image for Motown.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing when Little Richard came on the scene back in the 50s. And so what the record company, we can't sell this, but we can put Pat Boone out there doing his songs, and it's not. That's not even a copy of a copy of a copy. That is just a terrible cover of.
Well, actually, that's called plagiarism.
Yeah, but it's just.
I think if your last name's Boone, you're pretty well destined to
but
be
it's
hated
just
anyway. So
again, I know I'm like really going on a rant here, but it's one of those things that's what bugs me. You know, I would love to see a good young rock band get out there and just like, and say,
do their own thing.
Screw all of that shit. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Same thing happened with punk music. Okay. It's not just, it's all forms of rock music. And that's the thing. You almost never see true rock music albums on the charts anymore.
I quote Christian Slater from the movie Pump Up the Volume. When he says,
when we reviewed that and we're like, wow, who knew this was going to be the prophet of our generation?
Sex is out, drugs are out. They've taken all the great themes and turned them into theme parks.
Yes,
yep.
That's
There's
exactly
nothing to
right.
rebel against, or if they don't want to quelch it too much. Honestly, if you look back at it, we're at a very similar duplicates to rock and roll in the 50s, where it's scary. I'm sure there's stuff out there. There's people that are trying to be innovative, but nobody wants to piss anybody off. Mm-hmm. So,
and there's that too. That, you know, whole cancel culture thing.
Well, nobody wants to piss anybody off.
Everybody's got to be,
therefore, and I can't say I blame them. You know, there's no way that you can really try to. There is no way that a band like Guns N' Roses would ever be able to be successful starting today.
Well,
starting today,
Metallica came out. You know, they used the song for Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, now they're trying to get canceled.
All the kids loved it. Oh, this is great. And now you've got a bunch of TikTok Karens trying to cancel them because of something they did back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
40 years ago. I know.
I think it's kind of interesting.
Would you quit saying the dates of how long ago it was, please?
Well, because it's been that long.
But honestly, I think in a way that's kind of a good thing, because now it's given a new challenge to musicians coming up and trying to say, all right, well, listen, how are you going to define who you are, what you are, not using somebody else as a blueprint, not using somebody else as a template, and create your own sound, create your own being, and stand behind it. You know, that's got to be a huge challenge. I mean, I am not a musician in 2022 America. I don't know, but
we can change that.
I would like to believe. Well, no, nobody's going to get me in a boy band tomorrow. I am not being a member of BTK. That's all I'm saying. BTS,
not BTK. That's a completely different band.
I don't know.
I didn't say anything about boy bands, did I, Mr. Bass Player?
Well, but what I'm saying is, as far as
Mr.
creating
EAD,
your own, trying to create your own sound and standing behind it. There are some artists that are standing their foothold on that, and they're doing great. Sturgill Simpson is another one that I give a lot of props to, because
I like Sturgill, but it's still country.
True, but again,
and country music is some of the worst about.
And he's weird country.
Numbers.
The reason I like Sturgill so much is because he stands downtown during CMA night, busking in front of the CMA Bridgestone Arena, because he's getting zero notification from the establishment. He's a punk rock country guy.
Exactly. And I mean, those are the kind of people, it's kind of like you can't have it both ways. If you're saying there's nobody out here that are trying to scream their truth and defend who they are and stand on their own terms.
There are.
And when you have somebody doing it, it's like, okay, but he's still trying to stay true to what he is. That's what he is. He's not a duplicate of it. He's not a.
I think what we're saying is we wish somebody in rock and roll.
That I
do
agree
that,
with.
Please.
Yeah, that I agree with.
And because there are some.
We don't. Let's be honest.
Country.
Rock and roll's not supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be politically correct.
It's not supposed to be made by pretty people.
It's not supposed. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
let's be honest.
I agree with that. And it's one of those things where, rock and roll, rock music is not supposed to be for families.
No,
it's not. You're not. And I've said this many times. I remember, and this is almost 20 years ago, going to a Preds game.
Yep.
and in between, like, there was stoppage of play,
the beautiful people,
or Walk by Pantera,
yes,
or Metallica, anything by Metallica. And I'm not even talking about, like, just like the Enter Sandman. I'm talking about, like, why in the hell are you playing
Creeping Death
here? Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff. I'm like, this is not supposed to be family fare, but it's all become family fare. And you have Thor, Love and Thunder, putting 4 Guns N' Roses songs in it, and all of a sudden, now we're making this into Disney, and it's what are you doing to our music? It's just
I can understand it. I can understand the point on that, but I can also understand the idea of, to Dave's point from your story the other day about the kids that are now identifying. There's no way in hell that those kids would have ever heard.
In 2001, I died just a little bit on the inside when I turned on my television one day and there was a Toyota commercial with the Buzzcocks. What do I get?
Oh yeah.
And then Cadillac got all of the Ramones stuff and started using it. And I was just like,
I feel that. I completely feel that. But at the same time, that 12 to 14-year-old kid in the backseat of his mom's car who yelled at me in dead stop traffic going, "Hey, is that Metallica?" I'm like, "How do you know Metallica?" And
Stranger Things.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. You know exactly where.
And he was like, "Who's Anthrax?" Because I was like, "No, buddy, that's Anthrax." He's like, "Who's Anthrax?" And his mom's trying to drive the car to get away,
get away from the crazy.
I'm sure his mom was a millennial trying to get
away from the pervert talking to my kid.
Yes, but I'm like, if you're digging on Metallica, go check out Anthrax. Go check out Megadeth. Go check out Black Sabbath.
Yes. I told him, I was like, "Why didn't you say Slayer? Come on."
Because I didn't want to traumatize the kid.
Corrosion of Conformity.
Yeah,
some good ones.
Slayer.
Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal Corpse.
Give them something to listen to.
While the big four are the big four,
right.
Slayer is a little bit advanced.
I know.
And I want
Slayer is not for everyone, and nor should it be.
No.
Now that's the thing. If I ever turn on watching a major network and they use a Slayer song in something, I'm like, jeez. I'm out. I am out of culture from here on out. That's all it is to it. So it's
actually, if I turn on mainstream TV and they're playing Slayer, I'm going to the bunker because the war has started.
It's like you're saying it's a war ensemble. Is that what it is?
So let me close with this, boys, because I know you guys you've made some great arguments on this. I'm going to try to be the positive voice on this. I'm going to try to look at this through a different set of eyes. Today's point of view, are these things
just let me be a grumpy Gen Xer?
No,
come on, it's
no.
Damn kids with your damn long, loud music and long hair. Get off my lawn!
But I do a podcast with you.
When's Matlock on? Anyway, but what I was going to say
talk about comfort food.
Do they take these songs and water them down by putting them in things like Disney movies? Yes, they do. They water them down. They take away the edge. But I gotta believe that some people are getting inspired by these that they may not have ever had a reason to want to listen to Master of Puppets. If you look at the opening for Zombieland, For Whom the Bell Tolls, these are songs that are getting used in these movies that there's no way in hell that they would have let, these be used anywhere else at any other point in time. So I got to believe that somebody's listening to this stuff and going, I can do that.
I go back to the movie, the Gen X classic, PCU.
Don't wear the T-shirt?
No.
Oh.
So what's your major? Phys ed, out.
Yeah.
Get out of my house now. Out. Don't ever come back.
Sanskrit. You're majoring in a 4,000-year-old dead language.
Best I can do is Latin. Yeah. But no, that whole physical education, out. Get out of my house.
You're out of my
out.
You're out
Get
of my
out. That's exactly how I feel a lot of times whenever I turn something on and they use something like that, and I'm like, out. Now, the Master Puppets thing, I love that whole Stranger Things, the Eddie Munson and all that kind of stuff. But it is so many times I will see something like that, and it's just out. Get out of my house. Don't come back.
What was the movie that we were talking about a long time ago that had the cameo from Rob Halford and Tom Morello and oh God, what was it? I'm trying to remember. It's about the band that was made up of the guitarist, the cello player, and the drummer.
Oh, it was a Netflix thing.
Yes,
it was.
I think this is a you guys thing.
Yeah. No, you were in that. You were in the conversation.
You were in the conversation. You hadn't watched
drummer,
it yet.
A cello player.
Yeah, it was a Netflix thing. It was like Masters of
Rock or something like that.
Okay. It wasn't that Eurovision.
No. That was totally different.
garbage.
I loved it. I had so much fun with that.
It was funny.
Oh my God, it's awesome. Especially if you've ever watched Eurovision.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
it's so eclectic.
It's so priceless. It's amazing.
And surprise, surprise, the Ukrainians won it this year.
Shocker.
Yeah, no, it's a.
But you know, it's again. I got to believe that something good is going to come from this shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Led Zeppelin inspired a lot of bands. Pink Floyd inspired a lot of bands. You know, the Ramones inspired a lot of bands. Somehow they had to be heard.
Well, I get that.
And considering that, terrestrial
and it
radio
goes back to what I've said
dead,
about I've never been a
Metal Lords.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've never been a huge Velvet Underground or Lou Reed fan.
Yeah.
But, the old saying was Velvet Underground didn't have a lot of people listen to the Velvet Undergrounds, but the ones who did went out and formed bands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
And, who's to say? I mean,
I just cannot think that anyone listens, other than the fact that they might listen to it and say, oh, I can do that shit. No one is listening to 21 Pilots and going, oh my God, I've got to go start a band right now.
Now that I agree with you.
I mean, or any number of other bands that are out there right now that I'm just like, no, this is not inspiring people to greatness. This is inspiring people to profit. That's all it is.
I give you Mumford & Sons. Anyway.
Well, I mean, that's the record labels. Record labels aren't signing bands because of creativity anymore.
They're not
looks.
They're not signing bands anymore. I mean, that's unless they're a boy band,
Yeah.
Which I think, hey, you know what? If we're going to form a boy band, let's call it BTK. And
Bind, Torture, Kill.
Exactly. And we'll have all songs about serial killers. That's it.
I can see a theory on this. I can see this working.
And we'll wrap them in bubblegum pop to where people are like, oh, this is so awesome until they get the liner notes.
I don't want to be in a Smiths cover band.
There is a song.
As long as Morrissey's not in it, it's fine.
So a long time ago, I did
which may be the only way that Morrissey ever gets back into anything related to the Smiths.
Wow.
And on that note, I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith.
I'm the other guy, Big Dave.
I was Barry? I don't know anymore.
And we will see you next time.
See ya.
Good Lord. Hour and 45 minutes on ranting on bullshit.
Yeah. No, that's not unusual.
Oh, when we get on one of our rant shows, it's almost always a couple hours.